Hi guys, it's Sherry. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Today we're going to create a very posh but very practical craft. Stay tuned. So I don't know if you guys are able to see this. This is my printer. And I decided that I wanted to create a little printer stand so that I would have a place to store my 8.5 by 11-inch papers that I run through my printer. And this is perfect for that. And y'all, it is pretty large, so it's very easy to remove. I'm just going to slide it off, and I'm going to tilt it so that you can see exactly what we have here. So I just created a little tabletop and a place to hold my papers. And then I have some additional shelf space right here that I can use for other things. This is absolutely fabulous, super easy to make. And so for my shelf, I customized the measurements. And in order to make a shelf that is going to fit your printer, you need to figure out how long it is and how tall it is and how deep it is. And then you can adjust my measurements to fit your actual printer. But you want to make sure that when you finish, it just slides right over the top. And for me, if I ever need to make a copy, which I very rarely ever do, I can just remove this and lift up the top, and then I can just put it back. So y'all know what time it is. It's time to make it. All right, guys, here's what we're going to need to make today's project. I have already cut my foam board, and we will be cutting 4 pieces at 6.5 by 13, 1 piece at 2 by 8 3/4, 2 pieces at 2 by 11.5, 2 pieces at 18 by 13, and then I have a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And to cover parts of the project, I will be using Dollar Tree contact paper and Hobby Lobby wrapping paper. So what I am doing to give myself sturdiness and thickness for this shelf is I am joining 2 pieces of foam board together. That's why we're cutting this 18 by 13 inch twice. And then I'm going to take my Reptile Glue, and I am just going to put my glue on here. And the beauty of this glue is when it hardens, you also get some added strength from it. And then once I have that down, I am going to take my second piece and place it on top. And then I'll get these 2 joined, and I'm just going to press down, making sure that I have these even. And it feels like I do. So now I'm just going to bring in my handy dandy big old spatula and just really press the glue in between these 2 boards. And now I have a very sturdy board. So I'm going to set that one to the side, and we're going to bring in the boards that measure 6.5 by 13. I have already joined 2, and we will join these 2 together using that same process. So I am using my Reptile refill bottle to spread my glue because I can get a lot out at once. So just as I did on the big board, I am going to place down my second piece of 6.5 by 13. Press down and get everything nice and stuck, and make sure that you get those corners nice and stuck as well. Now we're going to bring in our contact paper, and I have a very large piece because I'll be covering the top of my shelf with that. So I am going to bring in my shelf piece that measures 18 by 13, and we are going to place this down. So I'm going to lay it down first. I am immediately going to flip it over and smooth out my wrinkles. So I will lift it as I'm lifting and laying it back down. I am smoothing everything out. I'm going to flip it over this way so I can get this corner. So I'll just lift back until I get to the point where I saw an air bubble, And then I'll just take my hand, and as I'm putting it down, I am smoothing it out. And you just do that on your whole board until you have everything nice and smooth. And then once you have all of those air bubbles out, we're going to flip this over and do a miter and our fold over. And now we can do our wraparound. So I'll take this piece, I'm going to pull it like this, wrap it around, and I'll come over to this end. I'm going to pull it nice and tight. And get it wrapped around. Then I'll use my big old spatula just to get those ends pushed in case they are sticking out. Then I can take this piece and we're going to wrap it around. Use my big old spatula to get everything nice and stuck. We will come over to this end and do the same thing. So I'm just going to fold that in so that I can wrap it around. Pinch that in here and fold that in as well. Now I can pull this piece, bring it up, and bring it over. And then I'll take my big old spatula and I'm just going to go along the edges to make sure I have that contact paper attached to the foam board. And so now we have our base. So at this point, if you want, you can place something here to cover this. And I'm not going to worry about this, guys, because it's never going to show in the way that I'm going to be using it. But if it is going to bother you, and if it's going to cause you to leave a comment saying you can cover it this way or this way, go ahead and cover yours when you make it. I am choosing to leave this just as I have it. All right, y'all, so now we're going to take the two pieces that measure 2 by 11.5 and the piece that measures 2 by 8.5, and we're going to place those down on the wrapping paper. So I am going to lift away my tape and just place it on my grid, leaving myself a little border here at the bottom. And go ahead and lift this up as well. I'm going to slide this over just a little bit, and I'll place this so that I have enough space to fold over between the two. And then I'll slide this over and we'll do the last one. So I'll place that down. And now I'm going to come in and remove some of this excess paper. And I'm removing excess from both ends. And I'm also going to remove some this way because we don't need all of this paper. So now we are going to come in between each one of these joints here and just cut out a triangle. And then we'll come to this end and we're going to miter. And we're going to do the same thing right here. So we'll cut in and cut like that. Let's come over to this side and we're going to do the same thing. So we'll cut in here and miter. And we'll do the same thing here at the bottom. And so now we can take some of our glue. I am just going to place my glue right there. And this time we are going to fold over on both ends. You'll remember with the other boxes that we made in this way, we didn't fold over on both ends, but this time we will. So I'm going to place glue over here as well. And I'll fold over. And now I'm just going to take my tape and I'll run some tape across the top from end to end and then across the bottom from end to end. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to fold this over like this. So I'll lift that first piece of tape. And I'll fold over. So I'm grabbing it to make sure that I have it pulled nice and tight. And then I'll use my big old spatula just to make sure that I have everything nice and stuck. And then I'm going to lift away my tape from the bottom and we'll go ahead and finish getting this stuck. So now what I need to do is I'm going to fold back these pieces so that I can trim away that excess. So I'll just use my finger blade and I'm just very carefully going to trim away because I don't want to cut my project paper. And I'll just remove it as I go. All right, so now we can take this piece and when we fold it in like that, we're going to have the divider tray that will hold our paper. So I am going to go ahead and just set this to the side for now, and we're going to add the legs to our tray. So the way that I'm going to do mine, I am not going to cover the exposed white on this. I am going to leave my shelf feet white. If you want to cover yours, now is the time to do it. But I want mine to be white, so I am going to leave this just as I have it. Then I'm going to take my hot glue and I am going to cover this in hot glue. And you guys can see that smoke coming off of that hot glue because I use a very high temperature hot glue gun. So I'm going to take it, place it down, coming in about 1/4 from the edge, and I'm just going to hold that in place until it sets. And then I'll come over to this side and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take my hot glue, I'm going to decide which side I want to be the outside, run my hot glue across the bottom here, making sure that none of this hot glue touches my hand because it is hot enough to cause a blister. So I definitely would not let children mess with this hot glue gun. So now I'm going to take this piece, place it down here, coming in about 1/4 inch from the side. I'm going to press down, getting that stuck. And then I'll clean up any glue globs that might be showing. And so now I have a very sturdy base to this. All right, guys, so we have our nice little shelf finished. It's very sturdy, so I'll be able to put my papers on here no problem. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and take this little tray that I have created to hold my 8.5 by 11-inch papers and place them down right there. So I am going to take my glue, and I'm going to place my glue on the glue flap as well as on my foam board. So I'll go all the way across, placing my glue. I'm going to wipe away this glue that's dripping. And so now I can take this, decide where I want to place it, and then I can just put it down. And then when I have my placement right, I'll just use my paper towel to wipe up all of my excess. And at the same time, I'm pressing down. And then I'm going to take this piece of cardstock and just place it on the inside. So I have removed the tape from the back of this. I'm going to take it, place it down on the inside like that. And that just gives me a nice finish to the inside and covers the glue flaps. So I'm just going to smooth that out. I'm going to grab some paper from my printer. And so now y'all can see that I have this awesome desktop tray for my printer. And I love it. I think it is fabulous. So not only do I have the desktop tray here, but I also now have some additional storage in case I want to set something up here as well. So y'all, wasn't that a very simple process? And we end up with something so functional and so useful. I can think of several ways that I could use a little tabletop like this. Add some height with additional storage underneath. And I'm sure that you guys can also think of some really fun and useful ways that we can use something like this. But for me, this is going to be what I put over my printer so that I can keep my papers right here in the top. And then I can set some little knickknacks or whatnots on top of this piece here. So I hope that you have liked this very useful project. If you have, please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I really don't know what it's going to take. But I'll be waiting for you when you're ready to make that commitment. And you guys be safe, be kind, happy crafting, and we'll chat later. Bye.